Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here, and this is going to be a review video. It's been a while since I've done a review of anything, like movie related. So this is going to be on YouTube in video format, and also on the A Nerd Named Mark Reviews RSS feed for the podcast. It's been a while since I put anything on there, and the kitten has a pen, and she's being really cute playing with it, and I don't want to take it from her, even though it's loud. But in this quick review, I will be going over a movie that I was excited to see. I was questioning the format. I was from what was shown in the trailers. I was kind of questioning a lot of things, but at the same time, I was like, I'm gonna give it a chance. And that is Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. Um, if you've listened to any of the previous podcasts that I've done, me and Resident Daryl from the Loop Bros podcast, my good friend Daryl, we did a whole dive into the franchise of the films, books, manga, movies, everything. We love Resident Evil. I'm a huge fan. I think Resident Evil is one of the few, I don't want to say franchises. No, I will say franchise. One of the few franchises that actually kind of helped mold my love of horror and zombies. I attribute Resident Evil on PlayStation, the original director's cut. I played that when I was way too young to play it. I attribute Gremlins, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Child's Play. If I had to pick a fifth, I would probably have to say Night of the Living Dead. Those five really were my earliest exposure to horror as a kid. And let's face it, you gotta talk about the elephant in the room. There's already been a whole multitude of Resident Evil films from Paul W.S. Anderson. The first one, not bad. The second one, all right, passable. Everything after that, no. This one though, Welcome to Raccoon City. Like it. I don't know if I want to talk about all the things I would have changed, but I think that's a whole nother video where I go over how I could have how you could salvage and save that film with some changes. And I mean, if you listen to Lou Bros podcast, I was on an episode with Daryl. We sat down, we broke down the movie. It wasn't a long episode, but we talked about things we liked about it, kind of what we would have changed. Spoilers towards the end of it, but not through the whole thing. This is going to have spoilers. You are warned right now. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. So, with the trailer, I thought we were going to get the game story and everything from Resident Evil 2 with maybe flashbacks to Resident Evil 1 from like the reports and documents, stuff like that. I thought that I didn't know they were going to combine 1 and 2 at the same time. Like that was the first mistake. The movie itself wasn't like bad in a traditional bad sense. I think the movie was short. It was like under 2 hours. It was like an hour 45. And nothing happened for like the first hour and 15 minutes, honestly. It was very weird pacing. I had to go to the bathroom because I got one of those big. We go to Regal. I have the Regal Cinemas app, and I had my birthday because I don't know why they extended it. I think because a lot of the movie theaters were closed, so like I still had my birthday reward. So I did the upgrade, got my huge Pepsi Zero Sugar, and by the time I got through all the previews, and then a portion of the film, I was like, ooh, Mark's got to go to the bathroom. I go bad. Went to the bathroom, came back. It was still the same scene, and nothing happened, apparently. Because I've seen the movie a second time, so I know I didn't miss anything. At the time of recording this, I've seen it the second time when I first did the podcast on the Loop Bros and the 22336 podcast. No, I didn't. I only saw it once. I've seen it the second time. So I know I didn't miss anything. This was like 45 minutes into the movie I had to go. Then about, an hour, 10 minutes, and I had to go, an hour, 50 hour, I had to go. I went a second time, didn't miss anything, and it's kind of sad. But this movie was paced horribly. I love almost a lot of the one-to-one recreations of scenes from the games. Those, no issues with. Even Claire, right off the bat, being like a badass, no problem. The lack of Barry though, mm, had my issues with that. There was a lot of Easter eggs, like Hunk was in it. A lot of stuff with Chief Irons. There was so many like not like Lisa Trevor's. Like there's, and I already told you the spoilers, so you know what. And it just there was so much there for a Resident Evil video game fan that it was like I felt bad when I left the theater that I had issues with it, and they weren't minor issues. Like because there were so many like just scenes and the set pieces and costumes and this and that were so spot on, and it made me so happy to see it. I was like, oh my god, these are from the game. I was like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where I'm like, haha, look at that. I know that. Like I was that, but it just poor writing, dialogue, the plot wasn't like all over the place. There were so many plot holes. Uh, Claire and Chris were in an orphanage together. The orphanage was being secretly run by Umbrella. The um, William Birkin was doing experiments on the kids. Um, and that's it. We weren't really told anything else about it, and they were all done with flashback scenes, which took up easily over a half hour of the whole entire movie, and nothing. We got like they didn't do anything. They didn't really like flash it out. We don't know what all the experiments. And then Claire like broke free somehow by pushing over these big, huge, broody dudes. Like bit one and pushed another, and he didn't even fall over, and she was able to run away. And I was like, right. And apparently, in this instance, she ran away. It was gone for 7 or 8 years, and then just comes back. Um, yeah, so that kind of made no sense. It wasn't really explained like where she went, how she escaped, what she's been doing. Just that she decided to randomly now come back to Raccoon City. Chris, I thought Robbie Amell, great job. He looked the part, and seeing him in the OG 90s Resident Evil 1 Chris Redfield like outfit, whew, I was like, that's so accurate. I was like, that outfit. I was like, that's so good. And he stole the show with a lot of his action sequences in the mansion, anyways. Um, but it just kind of sucked because like every time we got scenes like in the mansion with him fighting, it's like I think it was like gun Tana, or I don't know what it's called, but basically black screen. Every time he's shooting, dodging this and that, the muzzle from the shot of the gun would light up the scene. Looked so good, filmed really good. I like the action sequence. Like he killed it in most of the scenes he was in, and I just wish there was more. Like this is where the point where it's like this should have been two movies. You should not combine one and two. Like if you're gonna, the movie needs to be longer, and you don't need to waste 30 plus minutes on flashbacks because the flashbacks did nothing for Chris either. Just that he kind of lied and kind of kissed Birkin's ass a bit, but that's about it. Um, Casting, Wesker not bad. They kind of made him the dumb, broody character for money, and they kind of had Jill. Um, I don't know. Jill was kind of weird because there's a scene where Wesker has his Palm Pilot, and he's about to go to the Umbrella facility to steal the TG virus, and you know Jill's like, we gotta go help our friends, blah blah, and he's like, I gotta go, and he went, and then like she was so overly emotional and over the top when she bumped into Chris saying, Wesker betrayed us. I can't believe, like, and I'm sitting there like, dude, he just kind of went down a tunnel. You could have went with him, and he didn't really do anything but to betray you because he didn't start any of this. Like, so I was just like kind of confused onto why it was so much of a betrayal. It just didn't make any sense to me. Um, the actress played Jill did a good job. Um, the lack of characters like Barry, which I brought up, like no Barry, so and I feel like he's such a good character because the downside to me is if they're gonna create their own world, they don't have to do a 1-to-1 remake of the games, but like I don't know how you're gonna introduce Barry later on. unless he's a totally different character than what he would be in the games. But then again, I honestly don't. I don't wholeheartedly think that we're gonna get a sequel to Welcome to Raccoon City. This might be just a one and done. Um, I don't see how. Um, Even with the stinger during the credits, like, I just don't see a viability of making a second movie right now for this. Like, I don't see this getting a proper sequel. Because, spoilers, Raccoon City is destroyed by the end of this movie. So it's like, so what? You're going to jump right into Resident Evil 4? You can't, because you made Leon Kennedy the butt of every joke in this movie. He was shit on by every character. They made him, like, even if he's a rookie, they could have, like, there's normal hazing for rookies and this and that, like teasing and this and that. And then there's like completely shitting on and just demeaning a character. And that's every scene Leon Kennedy is in. He is not comic relief. He is literally the butt of every joke. And it's not meant to be, haha, we're laughing together. It's no, haha, we're laughing at you. And I don't know how you diminish and ruin such an iconic character. And this is coming from someone who does not like Resident Evil 4. I'm not a fan of Leon Kennedy at all. Like, I don't hate him or anything. I, out of all the games and playing them, like, I care more about Chris, Claire, freaking Jill, like Rebecca Chambers, like all these other characters I like more than Leon Kennedy. And even I was like, while watching the movie, started feeling bad for a fictional character because of how much he was just getting doo-dooed on. It was just every scene. He had no, and okay, so if you're gonna do a movie and you're gonna like treat a character like this, they have to have their redeeming moment where they shine. He had no shine. At the end, he had a rocket launcher, and even then, they're kind of like, really, a rocket launcher, and kind of gave him that look like, fuck you, like you're stupid. You know, it's he didn't have his heroic moment to like brush off the stigma that he's a dumb rookie cop. And that's what you want to do. If you're going to build it up to like that, you have their you have their heroic arc in the climax. That's what you do. This did not happen at all. And it was trash. Like, I hated that. Like, I hated almost every scene with Leon Kennedy in it. And I do, however, like some of the zombie work, a lot of practical effects. I hate that there was one dog, one liquor, and two crows, and then the rest were zombies. Not enough actual like creatures, you know. Um, and it just there's so much just wrong. Like the after the third act towards the final stretch, it felt so condensed to like 15 to 20 minutes that you like. There's a lot of forgettable stuff in this movie. Like 100%. Like, even on a second viewing, I'm like, I remember this movie now that I'm seeing like some of these parts again, but I was like, why was this in here? Like, all the orphanage stuff still wasn't it wasn't needed, honestly. It's something that could have been brought up in dialogue without a flashback. And it wouldn't have taken so much time from the film. I'm curious what was cut from this that's like a director's cut stuff. Because like a lot of stuff that was cut out. There has to be stuff that was cut out because a lot of the stuff in there just kind of like filler and thrown away, but no resolve to it. Like, there had to be more, like, and the fact that the lab stuff was like almost non-existent, and the TNG virus never really explained. Birkin's research of what tests he was doing never explained. Why he was doing the virus, making the virus and that slightly explained in like 3 sentences, maybe. In a conversation with like Wesker and Chris, and that was it. Um, it was cool to see Sherry Birkin in there, proper. I think, this is where I would have split the movie into two. And I'm gonna do a whole nother video. I'm gonna do a whole nother video, not an audio. This is audio and video, but I'm gonna do a whole video breaking down what I would have changed, what I would have added, what I would have removed, how I would have been able to turn this into two solid movies. Because even with the amount of time that this movie had, a runtime of like, over an hour 45, hour 50, under 2 hours, it still could have worked. I would have took there's two ways it could have went. I would have took all the Resident Evil 2 characters and Resident Evil 2 stuff out of this completely and focused just on the mansion and the lab. Also, Raccoon Police Department. They're in the Raccoon Police Department. They never explain what stars are, the group, why they're stars, this and that, none of that. Um, was it Bravo team or Alpha team? Like them, why they were at the mansion, and kind of like no real explanation. They were just going, I went up there for a disturbing a call, uh, and then they're they're in a cop car, not a helicopter this time, and it's just flipped over, and that's it. And then you see them inside, basically being chomped on. Like nothing was like there was so much world building that needed to happen, and they focused too much on you already should know all this stuff because you're a fan of Resident Evil, the video games. But the downside is, even as a fan of the video games, you did it wrong. Bad execution, poor writing, and I'm hoping I'm hoping there's like a director's cut or something that like is a lot better that fixes this, because as it is, like I'm still gonna buy the movie on Blu-ray when it comes out because I'm gonna want it in the collection. But man, I had so much hope for this, and it just didn't work for me. And I'm usually hopeful. Like I know I keep my expectations really low with video game movies, but when you have something like Sonic that came out was so good, the fact that they already know what not to do because there's been like eight, seven, 6 or 7 Resident Evil movies in the past. Like you just watch. You should have sat down and watched all those, and then be like, okay, I know what I'm not doing, and it's any of this stuff. Like I was thinking about, and I made the joke: if you took the mansion scenes and some of the police station scenes and mixed it with 75% of the lab scenes from Paul Anderson's first Resident Evil film, that would have been a solid film. Just combine those two. Obviously, the actors and actresses from Welcome to the Raccoon City, not that, and some of the parallels to it, like would have been good. I just think they they made the movie feel really claustrophobic, which is cool when you're in the mansion. This and that. Like it's not wide open spaces, no wide angle shots, no long this and that. It's just it felt very claustrophobic and isolated. It's okay to do that in these type of movies, but when in that case, you have to have the dialogue and the characters and the story and the plot carry it. It was not there, and that's something I'm going to drive home. And now I'm still at the theory that we will never get. And this is my final thought on this whole entire thing. Like I said, I'll do a bigger breakdown of what I would fix, this and that, and how I would change everything. Not everything, but some stuff. My final thought is we're never gonna get a proper Resident Evil film until the script George Romero wrote in '98 gets made. We're never like because I don't even know what the script says. I don't even know what it is. I just know if anyone knows zombies, it was him. If anyone knows how to make a mansion film, because he had the farmhouse in Night of the Living Dead, it's him. And that movie was carried by practical effects, dialogue, story, and characters. And so many times these zombie movies and these horror films and this and that fall flat on the characters. They rely on jump scares and gore, and that's it. And like good music. Whereas, you know, they don't focus on the characters and the atmosphere and the tone and the conversations carrying it. That's why I always say you go back and you watch horror movies from the 40s and 50s, you're not going to get scared because they're not scary. They're just people in suits and costumes and sometimes not in their black and white and this and that. But when you go and you watch it, you listen to the music they use. The dialogue and everything else is what sets the tone, and that's what makes them so good. And we've lost a lot of sight of that, sadly. So, with that being said, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Uh, because I can't turn off the fanboy in me. I can't. I can't ignore the good. I can't ignore the set pieces and the practical effects and just seeing those iconic scenes from the video games put on the big screen that I've been waiting for ever since 2002 when the first Resident Evil film came out. I've been waiting so long to see some of the stuff. The truck driver grabbing the cheeseburger, you know, the the Leon Kennedy putting on the Raccoon Police Department vest and looking like in that suit. All of them going into the mansion, and then the camera pans up and they're walking up to the stairs. It's like all those scenes. The dog walking with the Birkin freaking transforming, like all those scenes, like the train, and all those scenes, so good. I can't not appreciate those. So I'm gonna say altogether out of 5 stars, I'm gonna give it 3, just because it hit those nostalgia and my fanboy right in the right spot. If the plot, the dialogue, the writing, the characters, and Leon Kennedy wasn't such ass, easily could have been a 4 or 5. Easily. But I don't know, because I didn't do any research in this. I don't know what happened production wise that made it so this is the final product. Because watching all the set photos that got leaked and the trailer, even in this and that, you kind of were like, we were all optimistic. Some of us, we're not going to hold our breath, but we were optimistic. But something happened that made this trash. Like I said, if it wasn't for the fanboyism, trust me, it'd be like a 1 out of 5, by the way. Flip side. So it would have been 4 or 5 out of 5 if they improved these things. But if they took out the things that I was fanboyish about and this and that, or I wasn't so fanboyish, it's like a 1.5 at most. But fanboy. So, but yeah, if you haven't already, I still say check it out. Still check it out. It's worth watching if you're a fan, just to see those scenes from the games recreated on the big screen. Or if you have no knowledge of Resident Evil and you just want a cheesy, campy, slightly entertaining movie to watch, and you've already seen Ghostbusters, and you really can't wait to see Spider-Man, and so you want to see something in theaters, go see Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. Other than that, wait until Spider-Man comes out, or go see Ghostbusters a second time. I mean, you have options. There's a My Hero movie out in theaters. Like, there's so many other options. I should have picked the other options. But I thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, obviously I was going to ask, hey, let me know why. But obviously, we know why you haven't seen it, because I've seen it and I can completely understand why you wouldn't want to. If you're listening to this on the Nerd Named Mark Reviews podcast RSS feed, I thank you guys for listening. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes, subscribe. Make sure you are subscribed to whatever podcasting listening platform you're on, so you know when new episodes go live, because this one is not weekly like my regular podcast, so it's very sporadic when an episode might drop. There are no set schedules for it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. You'll see more reviews. I'm getting back into doing those. You have all my other, videos that I do for Toku, nerdy stuff, all that great jazz. Thank you guys for listening and watching. I will see you guys in the next episode. And this has been a Nerd Named Mark Reviews.